Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to be here. I met a friend of mine going down the stairs as I came up, and really he sent me an email some while ago and said that everybody's going to leave at 5 o'clock. Can you imagine being scheduled the last person to speak on an important day like this with important persons? And I feel like a Methodist preacher on Easter Sunday is about 11:45. So I say that with all humility, and I'm joking, of course. The very first person to contribute to my campaign, and I haven't raised a lot of money. I don't know that I feel real good about asking my friends to give certain things, but the very first person to contribute was my aunt, who lives in Wewoka, Oklahoma, Madeline Hargrave. And I was very proud of the thing that she put on the check. She put Madeline Hargrave, she gave me her contribution, and she said retired OEA member. So that was a pretty neat deal. My grandmother, my mother, my aunts, cousins, and everybody were teachers. All of them were strong OEA members. One of my aunts out in Altus, Frances Herron, was Teacher of the Year in, I think, 1979. Anybody here from Altus? Do you know Aunt Frances by chance? Aunt Frances is 95, and when you go through town, you have to check in with Aunt Frances before you leave town. Anyway, she's also a very staunch OEA person, and she's been giving me great advice with regard to the campaign. So that I know a little bit about some of the makeup of the persons I'm talking to, I was for 3 years a certification person at the University of Oklahoma, so teacher certification was extremely important to me. I was curious how many of you, if I could ask you a quick question to show of hands, how many of you are certified in early childhood? Okay, good hunt. And I don't know that a lot of people know today to teach in early childhood, you need to be certified in early childhood. How about elementary 1 through 8? Okay, great. How many are secondary teachers? Okay, we got a pretty good mixture here. And then, of course, a few years ago, and I actually, back when I was in college, had a hand in developing this. They now give special endorsements for middle school and things like that. How many special endorsement teachers? Very many? Okay, good. That will help me in my talk. I had my granddaughter with me over the weekend, and she's an 8th grade student in the Moore Public Schools, and she's going to take the EOI in Algebra 1, and I thought that was very important, and I said, Ashley, I said, what's the most important test you will take? Because like everyone else, she tests. And she said, Chip, and that's what my grandkids call me, she said, Chip, the most important test I take is the reading test. And can all of you tell me why the reading test is the most important thing to an 8th grader?
Driver's license.
She said, we want that driver's license. Well, Monday or Tuesday or whenever she was supposed to go in to take this test, she walked in, I think, at 11 o'clock, and she was ready to go, and they told her this is going to be delayed because the whole testing situation had failed. And so I can't say enough about last year's testing debacle or enough about this year's. I passed out my card to you. Does everyone have my card? They get them afterwards. Okay, I was hoping you would have them because I was going to talk from those. We handed in 3 pieces of material to be scrutinized by someone, and I'm not really sure which ones were approved. I guess the card was approved, Chauncey, is that correct?
Waiting on the Rules Committee to review those, so we'll have them available later.
They'll have the cards available. Well, I'll talk about it then. On my card, of course, the front page is me, and then the back page I tell a little bit about what I stand for. And as far as my platform, I've said since the beginning, 1, we've got to do something about teacher pay and forever guarding the defined benefit with regard to teacher retirement so that we can retain great teachers in Oklahoma. I lived in Africa as a child. I've been homeschooled, public school, French school, DOD school. And when we came home, we kids really liked it over there. We said to Mom and Dad, who were both teachers, we said, why'd you bring us home? And they brought us for this reason. I will tell you, the teachers of Oklahoma and the schools of Oklahoma are great. And our schools and our teachers are world class. And I go to school in foreign countries, and I don't ever hear anything else bad about Oklahoma because that's the truth about Oklahoma teachers. It's extremely important, Mom and Dad said, for us to get a good education. So as a result, we came here and were educated in Oklahoma. Second on my list, as far as my platform, I've said since the beginning, when I say local control, I want to explain what local control means. Some people don't want you to have local control, but local control means that the persons in Broken Arrow and Duncan and Guthrie and Mangum and Macomb and the places where I've been superintendent, they can make the decisions about which students graduate in their schools, and they know better about their situations locally than what we necessarily do. The other thing is I've been terribly concerned about school board members, because if you take totally away local control and take everything away from your school board persons, I don't know that I would even want to be on a school board. That'd be a tough chore. And so I hope that all of you out here feel the same way. The third thing was, for 11 years, I did outreach for the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, and my job was to promote and set up programs. And when I left the Math Science School, we had 19 programs, but it was to teach calculus and physics, AP. We taught physics C, and we taught calculus BC, and of course we get the AB subscore if you're a math teacher. But the big thing there is we learned that with proper training, with working with the teachers and everything, now you talk about pressure, ladies and gentlemen, when you've got to have the students score a 3 or higher to get college credit, and you have to do that, or probably you're liable to get fired. That was real pressure. So we were able through work, through attending the AP workshops and everything all over the country, we were able to achieve that. And what I learned from the math teachers, and some of the greatest math teachers in the world are right here in Oklahoma, and I think the other day when I looked on the board certified list, when I went to the Capitol for that, I think at least 6 of those are teachers who have worked with me. And the big thing that we learn is if you're properly trained, you can do it. Whether you're poor, rich, white, black, whatever, the students can learn. And the students in that program learn. But the best math teachers in the world told me that we should have math specialists down at the lower levels of elementary, just like we have reading specialists. Now, we've had reading specialists for many years. And so one of my plans is to, in some of the universities, if you check with them, are developing certification in math specialists right now. And so that will be extremely important. I would add to you that I am the only candidate among the candidates that are running for office, either party, who have actually run a K-12 school. There are those who have been in other schools. I think if I check correctly, there's only 3 of the candidates who are certified in anything in Oklahoma, whether it be elementary or secondary principal or secondary superintendent. And so I think that certification is an important role. Also, the Oklahoma State Department says that to be highly qualified, to truly be highly qualified under their guidelines, you must be certified. So you get into a lot of things as to what ought to be and the way things ought to be and what's really going on. Currently, we're in a punitive phase of the issues that have come down the pike the last 10 years. If you think about No Child Left Behind, if you think about ACE and the Algebra 1 test and the ill eyes, if you think about reading sufficiency, and if you think about Common Core, we're in the punitive phase. And that's the phase where the teachers are punished if the students don't perform, and the parents are upset, and the administrators are upset, and you throw in the TLE where so much is riding on the teachers. Goodness, folks, my hat's off to you. I don't know how you do it. Now, I've talked consistently about my granddaughter. Let me tell you about my grandson. I have a grandson who's in kindergarten in Moore, Oklahoma. And the second day of school, he had homework. And again, he calls me on my Bluetooth on my pickup. He says, "Chip, got homework." Well, I couldn't imagine a kindergarten student with homework. And I said, "Well, Trevor, what's the problem?" He said, "Well, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do my homework." Well, for a teaching family, my daughter was upset, my wife was upset, and I said, "Well, Trevor, you've got to do your homework. You mind your teacher." And I said, "Why don't you want to do homework?" He said, "It hurts my brain." For a kindergarten student, that's pretty sharp. So as we advanced in about a week, Trevor called me on my Bluetooth again. He says, "Chip," he says, "A is for apple." So I thought immediately we'd made progress. And Trevor has gradually progressed throughout the year. And then here last week, I got the call, and it was Trevor. And I said, "Trevor, what in the world's wrong?" He said, "Chip," he said, "I'm not going to take this test." And can you imagine you teachers under the pressure that you're under? What if every kid at the state walked in and said, "I'm not going to take the test"? And that's where you are. That's where you are. So a lot of the things that we've done, ladies and gentlemen, I feel totally ridiculous. And I feel that you've got to have someone that's strong enough to stand up. And with the current superintendent, if you know me, I've been head-to-head with her many times. And of course, my goodness, there's a call right now. Okay, well, you mind your teacher. You mind your teacher, Trevor. That's Trevor, and he says he likes that teacher so well, he may just decide to stay another year. My mother taught 41 years and got cancer and passed away when she was 73. Don't let this business kill you, ladies and gentlemen. Vote Jack back. I'm the one that can stand up for you, and those of you who know me, we'll go up there and we'll get this situation straightened out. Thank you very much.